leaking video games has gone way too far. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, or you've been living under a rock, especially on Twitter, over the last 2 weeks, we have had nothing but leaks for Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. There hasn't been this many leaks for a Pokemon game since, I don't know, I think like Gen 7. I mean, I wasn't really looking at the whole leaking scene back then, but from what I've heard, that's the only thing comparable. Now, I'm not going to be discussing the actual contents of the leaks in this video. I haven't even looked at half of them because I don't really want to know. I don't want the entire game spoiled for me before the release. But this does bring up an interesting conversation, and that conversation is, well, is leaking bad for video games? And there is part of me which says no, but there's also a massive part of me that says yes, and I'm going to explain why. It's not unusual for video games to be leaked close to release, or we get little bits here and there. That's fine, that doesn't usually matter. It happens for every single video game, and it doesn't usually affect how the game comes out. It doesn't affect how the people take it. However, once a game starts getting leaked so much that you know more about the game with still 4 months remaining before release, it starts to affect the reviews of the game. It's going to start affecting how people perceive the game when it releases, because people are making up their minds right now more than what they were based on trailers, purely because they think that they know everything there is to know about the game, whether or not it's worth buying. And that's the scariest thing about this, the fact that there is still 4 months to go. We are still expecting more official news, official trailers from the Pokemon Company and Game Freak to do with these games, but by the sounds of it, by the time all of these trailers even release, we're going to know already what is in those trailers months before they even come out. Now, I'll agree, leaking in video games isn't always a bad thing, and sometimes it's actually intentional. I'm not going to sit here and say that there hasn't been times where games companies, not necessarily Game Freak or maybe Game Freak, have intentionally leaked certain things, or have teased certain things, or have done certain things in a way that information is available early for people to get people hyped up. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's a marketing tactic, and it happens all over the world with video games, TV shows, hardware, literally everything you can think of. There are sometimes intentional reasons to leak things. However, they do it in such a way where they give you just enough information that you want more. But these leaks that have been coming in, these aren't just little leaks. These aren't just little things here and there. They are the entire game. They are exactly how the entire game works. Now, again, I'm not going to be detailing exactly what has been in these leaks. A, I don't really want to spoil it for people, and B, I haven't even looked myself properly. After like the first day or two, I was like, there's something not right here. We're getting way too much information for like a 24-hour period, and then it's just spiraled from there. Now, it's not just Pokemon that has been having this effect, especially over the last year. We've had plenty of games leak early, like Cyberpunk, where the entire game released maybe like a week or two before it's released. Now, a week or two, that's not necessarily unusual. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but we can see the effect that it had on Cyberpunk's reviews when it come out, because people started seeing the issues with Cyberpunk way before it was even up for sale, and way before people were even able to get their hands on it. This in turn stopped people from buying the game, so that initial sale of units that makes usually the most money for a company just went. Even if the game was going to be bad on release, regardless of this information leaking, people didn't know, people didn't have that information. So by the time people knew a week or two beforehand, people were cancelling pre-orders, people just weren't bothered, people were watching the whole game on YouTube and Twitch and everything like that, and it ended up costing CD Projekt Red so much money. Now, I'm not defending Cyberpunk, that game is a pile of garbage, or at least it was on release. It goes to show you how dangerous leaks can be, especially even if it's only a week or two before, let alone 4 months. And that worries me for Pokemon, it worries me for Game Freak, and it worries me for the Pokemon Company, because there's only so much that they can hide at this point if the leaker keeps giving all of the information that they are. Now, that being said, there are a few things that you, the consumer, can do to stop these leaks from either circulating more or from just generally affecting the company. Now, regardless of your view of Pokemon, regardless of whether or not you think that these games are going to be good, these games are going to be bad, you have to remember that real people work at these games companies, real people work at Game Freak, at Pokemon Company, people that put their heart and their soul and their passion into these video games. And to have it leak out early it must devastate them because they're all excited for this big reveal where the entire world gets to play the game at the same time or within a short period of each other. And that essentially all goes to nothing, where people start finding out the very, very fine details, like the starter evolution, the mechanics, you know, how the game works, the story forms, whatever might be announced or released for the game. It ends up hurting these people directly. So there are a few things that you can do. The first thing is going to be, don't retweet things on Twitter. Don't start posting things that you might see. Look, there are going to be leaker accounts. They are always going to be leaker accounts. That is another story, whether or not these accounts are, you know, good or bad for the game. You know, to some extent they probably can be good, but a lot of the time, especially in this like scenario, they are bad. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and call anyone out indirectly or directly, sorry, because there are just so many leaker accounts now. But if you see a leak, whether you know it's official or no it's not, don't start sharing it with people. It's not fair. All it's going to do is either draw up hype for something that isn't real, or it's going to spoil the game for someone that really didn't want to know until release. Now, it's happened to me a few times. It happens to me every game that I ever follow, every game that I'm ever excited for to come out. Something gets spoiled for me. I try to turn off Twitter. I try to avoid it. But the problem is, we live in a world where social media is very important. Social media is for our jobs, for our livelihood. So it's very impossible to stay away from social media and avoid these leaks and these rumors. You know, things happen, even things like TV shows, even things like movies where like a movie will come out or a movie won't even be out yet and people will like spoil the whole plot, and then people will go and retweet that. People will go and share that. It's not fair on people. Now, again, I'm not calling you bad people for doing that. I get it. You're excited. I myself have probably done this before, a long time ago, before things were as bad as they are now, but they have real world effects by you sharing these things. So the main thing you can do is just don't share them. Try to, you know, avoid them. And then the second thing to do that you can do if you're a content creator is stop posting these things in the thumbnails of your videos. I'm not going to go and start posting a leaked screenshot from a Pokemon game that hasn't been released yet in my video, because it's not fair. It's fine if you want to discuss it in the content of a video. People have to click on it. People have to choose to watch that. That's fine. But if people are just scrolling through their feed and they're recommended, or even their subscriptions, and they see that someone's posted a screenshot of something they don't want anything to know yet, it's not fair. And there is one last thing you could do. Don't go into someone's stream and talk about a specific leak, because there's going to be a lot of streamers out there that will not discuss it, that don't want to know. I remember a couple scenarios with Reversal. Sorry if you don't, hope you don't mind me explaining this, Rev, but there was a time where I was watching Reversal stream and someone had come in and said something to Reversal about the games, and they were only a couple of days from release, and Rev had done really, really well at that point to hide and to get away from these leaks. And someone had come in and spoiled something in the game for him, and he got really, really angry. And I don't blame him for getting angry. It's not fair. It should be up to him, it should be up to us to decide whether we want to know this information, and we don't want to be caught off guard and someone say, hey, did you hear that this Pokemon is in the game? This Pokemon isn't in the game. This Pokemon's getting a form. It's not fair. So in general, I think that leaks for games can be good. They can be a good marketing tactic, but the way that things have been going, even look at Xenoblade Chronicles 3. That entire game, I think it's like 2-3 weeks before release, has been entirely leaks. The copies have started appearing on eBay. People have started, you know, doing whatever. It's not fair. It's dangerous, you know, not only for the consumer, but it's also dangerous for these companies, dangerous to the people that worked on these games, that have put their heart and soul into these video games. But that's pretty much all there is to me. I just wanted to kind of talk about that. I just wanted to say that just be careful when you're browsing online. Try not to build up to the hype. Try not to get yourself into that leak thing, because when the game comes out, you might not be as surprised. I know I won't be if I know everything about the game before released. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully we'll be back with some more streams soon on YouTube and Twitch, depending on what we're doing. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in another one. Peace out.